Welcome to the How Did That Work Out podcast, where we share, explore, as well as inspect internally and externally a variety of our life situations as well as others, all for the purpose of answering how did that work out. I'm your host, Graham.
And I'm your host, Mike J.
Here we go.
Stoics. Marcus Aurelius probably being one of the more famous, the Roman emperor. And he's basically known as like the best, Stoic leader in history. And his story real quick was that he was born into an influential family, but no one at the time had expected that one day he would actually be the ruler of the empire. And so what he did is, as he was, he led wars, and he also had political rivals that he had to deal with, and he had a kingdom to rule, right? So what he did is he turned to writing, and he would write his meditations in his tent. He would, take time at night to reflect on the day he just had, and then also to make a bit of a plan for the next day, while acknowledging certain things aren't going to change, right? The negative aspects aren't going to change. But what he would do in his writing, which was really just for him, it was a journal, but he would then use that negativity to challenge himself to be better, to overcome in a positive way, instead of fighting fire with fire, but then while also accepting his place, right, in that negative cycle.
Now, is it possible he was a Stoic and he didn't know it? like, did he invent it, or was it already something in existence at his time?
I can't find anything that would suggest that this was an intentional thing for him and not just a coping mechanism, much like what I was looking for.
Right.
But what's funny is that somebody had turned his writings into a book that you can actually buy today, and it's basically called Meditations, or the Book of Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. And it was taking his journal, and the thing about that is that you can maybe relate to some of the things that he was enduring, maybe not like for like, but what I'm saying is, like, if you've got political rivals, well, then maybe you've got somebody at work that you're not getting along with particularly well. And, they actively try to subvert you.
Yeah. The sword sharpening guy never gets my sword as sharp as I want it.
Exactly. And it also used to help him cope with the stress of leadership and the stress of war, which leads to loss. And he actually did care about his empire quite a bit. He wasn't one of those excessive Roman emperors. In fact, part of his Stoicism was he chose to live humbly. He wasn't flashy. He wasn't arrogant. He was very humble in how he lived, how he spoke, and how he led. So he could also be credited with being one of the earliest servant leaders as well, which is kind of a new buzzword that's kind of catching on, which I think is great, because too many times leaders think of themselves as the tip of a pyramid, which everything flows to the top, and the top person says what is and what isn't. And yeah, that's a feeling of power. But when you're a servant leader, you're actually at the bottom of the pyramid, providing that foundation. And what you're doing is you're working for your team so that they can succeed. And the team then, usually would come to realize that that's the case. And then they work harder, right? That ultimately helps you succeed.
Yeah.
And so it's very much a symbiotic relationship.
For more HDTWO content and the latest show updates, like and follow our Facebook page, HDTWO Show, Instagram account at HDTWO Show, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at HDTWO Show. Don't forget to tell your friends.